Albert Einstein once said, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. What was your moment when someone judged you like that? Judge the country kids in my English class for being dumbos until I did an autos class. What I found incomprehensible, they could do with ease. I had become the dumbo. The time my middle school art teacher called my parents because she thought I was purposefully mocking her by making my art bad. I literally can't draw beyond a 3rd grade level unless I'm copying an object right in front me. My parents basically cussed her out after they saw how hurt I was. USMC judges you on your ability to run. No matter how good or bad you are at anything, if you can run fast, you are presumed better at everything. It overcomes crimes, mental retardation, and absolute stupidity. When I was on the Navy, I used to get in fairly frequent trouble for the suggestions I made for improving operational efficiencies. As an outside contractor, they were quite happy to pay me $200 an hour to say the exact same thing. Once at my workplace, I asked for help to open a box because I really couldn't open it. This one girl I worked with looked at me with disgust and didn't help me. She later talked stuff about me and said I'm freaking stupid. I was born with polydactyly and they cut off my 2 extra fingers and fixed a lot of stuff. I can't use all my fingers properly. By the way, F you Sarah. I was the fish trying and failing to climb the tree and my boss called to offer me a position swimming. That time my boss called me to tell me I sucked at my job, but followed it up by telling me I got crazy good comments about this one small part of my job, so would I like to do that full time. Did the new thing for 6 years and used it to land another, even better, position at the same company. Thanks for recognizing my talents, old boss. You were a bit of a poop boss, but when it mattered you really were a help. This was basically my childhood because I was bad at math. I guess most children goes through this, which is very sad. Only at uni did I realize that I didn't have to be good at everything. I had a professor who spoke 13 languages but couldn't count how much 5 plus 4 is. He's the best at his field. When I was at a company, had me interview for a different position than I had applied for. The position they interviewed me for was one I knew nothing about and told them as much. Despite me telling them before each round of interviews that they had made a mistake, I still had to endure a full day of people asking me questions that I had no answer to. In school I was too nerdy for the jocks and too jockish for the nerds. Now that we have all grown up, I take everyone's money in fantasy football. I was chased a lot in middle school / early high school for loving hockey. Would constantly get my knowledge tested. My appearance would get brought into it. Why would a fat girl like hockey? Had someone ask me if it was my passion and laugh in my face when I said yes. Jokes on them. I'm an officially credentialed journalist by the NHL now and have personally spoken to more players than they could dream of buying autographs from. I was a ballerina and I always had a hard time picking up choreography. Other dancers could watch a dance once and know it. Some could even do it from a video. I needed to be shown a combination a few times and to go over it a few more, and even then I would forget it the next day. I felt really stupid. Anyway, ballet didn't really work out and now I have a PhD, so I'm not a complete idiot. Judge my friend for having very naive and dumb knowledge / beliefs about stuff like economics, politics, geography, history, language, culture, etc. But she was extremely social and extroverted, while I was this somewhat grumpy guy and sucked at making connections with people. Still do. Nowadays, she works at a high position in the marketing department at a very major global tech corporation's office in our country, in Europe. I'm a sysadmin and a half programmer. I ended up studying Pol C and taking some computer science classes. I wouldn't say my education is bad or that it's a useless degree, just that being able to make friends and influence people is much more important than having a lot of knowledge. So many moments in my life. I was unfortunately born a girl who likes "boy things." I love cars, mechanics, truck driving and long road trips. My dad was a mechanic. From the time I was tiny, I was in his garage or workshop, wanting to help him, learning the names of tools and car parts. When I was around 9, I told him I was gonna grow up to be a mechanic someday, just like him. I thought he'd be proud. He told me that girls aren't mechanics and I'd better find something else to do. He wouldn't let me near his garage after that. Even when I got my own car and went to change the oil on it myself, he caught me and kicked me out and said that I was just a girl. I've heard that my whole life. I'm disappointed in myself because now I'm not a young woman anymore. I've forgotten over the years what car parts are called. I still love to take long road trips, but my dad and mom, for that matter, squashed out so much ambition. I really hate them and myself for allowing it. I hate professions that are typically done by females. I'm not good at any of them, but have done them my entire working career to fit the norm and not rock the boat. I feel like life has been wasted and opportunity disposed of. I was forced to attend art classes and team sports phys ed in school, mandatory until year 11th, art, or 13, respectively. Those two made sure that my average was ruined. I can't draw or throw a ball, even if my life depended on it, got the grades to match, and be in my most awkward social phase. I got humiliated regularly by well-meaning teachers who couldn't understand that being good at math and physics does not translate into drawing or predicting a ball's movement, forcing me to do it again and again and again, while the whole class enjoyed the show. I mostly judged myself. My whole life I pressured myself to be just as smart as my dad and brother, who were phenomenal in math and engineering. My dad has an IQ of 138 and my brother always had A's and made the dean's list in post-secondary. The institution gave out entire cakes to those on the dean's list. I struggled so hard in math. I tried so hard, exponentially more than any other kid, because I felt like if I didn't get good at math, or any subject for that matter, then I wasn't smart. Always a C+B student. Because I wasn't good at something, I very much lived years feeling I was stupid. Then as I grew older I realized that my skills in art were actually worth something. My art teachers were always very impressed. Soon it progressed to people making me offers. The school's police officer even had me make him something. I had some artwork displayed at the city's airport. And when I expressed to my dad that I felt like there were no jobs for me on my degree, he said to try something else. I asked what, and he said art, which I thought was a little funny for the starving artist stereotype. In that moment, it felt like he equated my artistic skills to his intelligence and success. I'm very dyslexic. It results in me having the spelling and grammar of a middle schooler, plus it makes me have trouble hearing similar sounding words. Letters and phonic sounds don't always connect to the idea they represent in my head. I read/listened to the overall idea and not the individual letters. As a result, school was a very mixed bag. I had to be very hard working to compensate for the disability. I became very good at working with people. I learned to plan ahead because I can't do things last minute, and developed a strong logic skill set. The problem is that many teachers thought I was lazy because I would describe what I thought while the other person wrote it down, etc. In college the department head of chemistry is the teacher that fully understand who I am as an academic student. He thought it was hilarious that I had the highest lab grade while the low end of the class portion. Apparently it caused heated discussions as why the only non-pre-med was doing so much better than the pre-med students in laboratory classes. I think he was the only teacher that appreciated that I was good at working with people and terrible at writing papers for classes. So I'm from India and education system in here used to be really bad. We have special exams known as board exams and those scores can help us get into a better college/uni. The issue here is, our teachers force us to write the exact same way the answers are given as in the textbook, including the punctuation. I know it sounds crazy but it's true. Nothing must be skipped. The teachers who must help the students to actually study and understand the concepts, ask us to mug things up BC all they want, is 100% pass percentage, and not the proper education. And me on the other hand was terrible at memorizing and remembering stuff if I don't understand the concept in the first place, so I failed some subjects during my monthly tests and for that I was made to feel like I'm stupid and useless, and the only thing I told to myself was this quote: but I got some decent scores at my final exams, thanks to YouTube.